So PFF graded the Indianapolis Colts 2023 draft class as an A+. I believe there are about 5 teams, not many teams at all, that actually got the A+, and it appears that PFF really loves the Colts draft class, and they think that they have a bright future. So you see, they're high on the Anthony Richardson. They're really high on all these really high upside players. Now, if we look at Chris Ballard's past few years' drafts, that it just hasn't been ranked as highly by PFF and by the GOAT House, by a few other sites and places. But this is the year that it all changed. The GOAT House gave us an A+. PFF has given us an A+. There are so many. And Broshmo gave us an A+. So many guys, so many sites, and everyone loves this Colts draft class. Now, will it translate to the field? That's the big question. We don't know that yet. You never really do know, but the Colts, every single pick is going to make a difference according to all these guys. Every single pick is either going to make a difference now, going to have huge upside, they're going to be great, or they're going to be solid. And that's what you kind of go for when you're drafting, right? So the first couple of rounds, the Colts really make big-time splash picks where I feel like they really needed at the most. You have Anthony Richardson went at 4. Some people thought Will Levis, some thought Richardson. I thought Will Levis at the end there for a minute, but they really like that. It says right here, the Colts stay at pick 4 and swing for the high ceiling of Anthony Richardson. While Richardson was inconsistent as a passer, he is arguably the most incredible athlete at the quarterback position we've ever seen. He forced 39 missed tackles in 2022. 39 missed tackles. Yeah, that's crazy. So then you move on to day 2. They talk about Brents. Julius Brents is in the group of long athletic prospects that the Colts have gravitated to on defense over the past several years. There aren't too many cornerbacks out there at 6'3" with 34-inch arms and a 42-inch vertical. Brent's production and grading profile don't overly impress, but he has traits worth being out here for Indianapolis. So we all know that the Colts traded back twice, right? That's Julius Brents is what was the guy to begin with. They traded back twice, and they still got him. Impressive. And Brents, as PFF mentioned here, Brents is lengthy. He's got elite length. He's fast. He ran a solid 40 for how big he is. He's an athletic freak, as 90% of this class is, if not every one. 34-inch arms, a 42-inch vert. He could be a very good cover 3 corner. He fits Gus Bradley's defense very well. It's like a glove. It fits like a glove. It's perfect. So next one we have here is from Josh Downs, which is a lot of Colts Nation's favorite pick outside of Anthony Richardson. Downs was wide receiver 5 on both the PFF big board and the consensus big board, but comes off the board here to Indianapolis as wide receiver 12. In the 3rd round, at 79, the Colts get the 5th best ranked wide receiver by consensus, by the PFF big board, and he comes off as a 12th wide receiver at pick 79 in the 3rd round. It's pretty impressive. So he is undersized, understandable. We've already been through that, but even for the slot, but he is one of the better underneath separators in the class and wins in contested catches over the middle of the field. Downs hauled in 13 of 18 contested catches in 2022. For how little this man is, he makes a big impact. He plays like he's 5'11". Plays like he's much bigger than what he is. 5'9". He probably plays like 5'11". He plays like he's big. Goes up, makes a contested catches, as PFF stated here with some context. 13 of 8 contested targets he caught. Very good separator, they're saying, which I've seen. He's a very good separator, short, medium. He's got some decent speed. Downs is an exciting player. And I think he's going to be a great weapon and a great complementary piece to Pittman and Pierce on the outside. Well, you have Downs on the inside, creating some separation, has just enough speed to get around them. Contested catches. So he's going to provide a phenomenal weapon for Anthony Richardson. Day 3, where the Colts had a total of 8 or 9 picks. Yeah, 8 or 9 picks. And another thing is, when you have as many picks, it's easier to just screw up someplace. It's easy to just I think this guy's good. We're going to take him here, but it's really not. And whatever. It's how teams think. Every team thinks differently, but point is, having a lot more picks makes it a little more difficult to hit on every single pick. And according to all these places that I mentioned, Go House, Broshimo, PFF, the Colts hit big. So, day 3. The Colts need reinforcements along the offensive line and land a 6'8" Blake Freeland, who tests off the charts with 95th percentile or better scores in vertical jump, broad jump, short shuttle, and 3-cone. Freeland's athleticism will be utilized as a run blocker in space, earning a 90.2 zone blocking grade in 2022, but he will need to improve as a pass protector in the NFL level. So it already sounds like this guy might beat out Bernhard Raimann. Honestly, and if he doesn't, he's bringing competition to Bernhard Raimann. Maybe they want this guy to play right guard. He's big. He's strong. He can get out in space. He could probably play anywhere, really. Play anywhere. Now, it is a little more difficult to sometimes get the leverage when you're that big. It's difficult to get underneath the pads. It's difficult to get underneath the guy in front of you or wherever. It's very difficult to do so, but that's one thing that he will learn. He has to work on footwork. He has to work on in the passing and pass protecting. But really fits what the Colts want to do. And if he does play at right guard, he may just or left tackle. If he wins that spot over, it's either going to push Raimann or he's going to win that spot. Maybe he goes over the right guard. There's so many different possibilities with this pick. And but there's a guy I want to talk about later. His name is Emil Ikoyer. I butcher his name like every time. He's from Alabama. He was a 3rd or 4th round prospect by many people, and they signed him as a UDFA. He's probably going to be the right guard unless something else happens with this guy winning that right guard spot. We don't know. But point is, the Colts really hit home on this pick. You can put him wherever. Yeah, he does need to work on his pass protection. That's like the entire Colts offensive line. But now that you have Anthony Richardson, you don't just have like a Matt Ryan or Phillip Rivers. Carson Wentz can move a little bit. Now that you have a guy that can really move and evade pressure, it's going to make that big of a difference in having not as great pass blockers. It's also going to make it more difficult because they have to say very disciplined, those pass rushers with Anthony Richardson back there. Very disciplined. And, don't forget, you have Jonathan Taylor you got to worry about. So it's not, these defensive linemen are going to have to stay very disciplined, which is going to help this offensive line. It's going to help these guys that may struggle in pass protection a little bit. So it kind of balances out. It's kind of the way it works out. Beautiful. One more of the more puzzling follows of the draft after a ton of buzz following a ridiculous combine performance that was truly one of the best we've seen. I'm going to try to say his name. Adebawore needs refinement at the NFL level and can now develop behind a crop of good defensive linemen with the Colts. Adebawore earned an 80.3 pass rush grade in 2022, but a lot of that production came from the pure athletic advantages. He needs to improve his hands usage and counter moves beyond just speed to power. So, as you see, he's going to have to work on some hand usage, some moves, and, he's kind of a tweener. They didn't really know where he'd go, and that's probably why he fell. But him coming to the Colts, he could sit behind these guys. He doesn't necessarily have to play every down. We don't need him like that right now. But he's got incredible speed. For how big he is, he's not crazy huge, but, for how big he is, his testing was incredible. He could sit behind Buckner. Maybe he's the guy that comes in when Buckner leaves, or maybe Deo's a guy that stays on the inside, and he's just a rotational guy. He's going to be a rotational guy to start. It's a guy you could really put anywhere, but I think he could be a 3-tech in the NFL. And, sometimes some of these smaller guys really find a way to get it done, just like Aaron Donald. I'm not saying he's no Aaron Donald. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying sometimes when you're an outlier, sometimes you make it work to your advantage. And the Colts know about these guys because remember, I believe it was Dwight Freeney or Robert Mathis coming out. It was one of the two. They were smaller. They perfected the spin move. Both of them, I think it was Dwight Freeney because it was a spin move they were talking about. And Dwight Freeney is really who, I think it's Dwight Freeney. Came out and shocked everyone. He changed the game for forever. He's the one that really started that spin move and really picked it up in the NFL and really evolutionized that position. So the next pick we have here is a cornerback, Darius Rush. A former high school quarterback and college wide receiver at the start, is an incredible athlete still learning the nuances of the cornerback position. At 6'2" and 198 pounds, Rush ran a 4.36 40-yard dash. 6'2", almost 200 pounds, ran a 4.36 40-yard dash and earned a total and earned an 80.3 coverage grade in 2022. When he is in position, he has a knack for making plays on the ball as well. This is the developmental type prospect we look for on day 3. So I really like Darius Rush. He has work to do in man coverage. He has to work on that a bit, but he's a phenomenal fit for this cover 3 look while he's developing that, those man skills a little bit. And he's going to bring him and Brent are going to bring competition to Isaiah Rodgers. They're all going to bring competition to each other. And that's what's going to make it even more fun, and just make these players better overall. Rush and Brent are going to be a phenomenal duo if they both beat out Isaiah Rodgers. I love Isaiah Rodgers, and I think he is a phenomenal cornerback too. We haven't really seen him in the cornerback 1 role a lot, extensively. So you can't really count on it if he hasn't done it. You kind of got to go out and make sure you have that guy. And maybe Isaiah Rodgers does win that spot. Maybe Brent starts at second or whatever. I think all 3 of these guys can really play all over, honestly. But I'm really excited. I'm excited for Darius Rush. I thought this was a steal. So a player I always kept looking at, I'm like, maybe the Colts do get him. It's just one of those players where you think in your mind, it'd be interesting. You see him a lot, but at the same time, I was kind of like, nah, they're not going to get him. But they did, especially where they're at in round 5. Wow, beautiful. I'm excited for Darius Rush. A lot of upside. As you're noticing with a lot of these guys so far, they're really incredible athletes with a lot of upside. They can work on some little things here and there, but you know what? It's what Chris Ballard likes to do, and it didn't work out with Frank Reich. Maybe Shane Steichen is the guy that's going to change that. Maybe he's going to change these guys with high upside. Not all of them are going to work. That's the truth. Not all these guys are going to be great, but it's interesting to see how they're going to develop, if they will. Because not all of them will. Not all of them will. Scott graded... So, next we got Daniel Scott. Is a safety from Cal. Scott graded better in 2021, 80.1, than in 2022, 66.8, but finished strong in his last 3 games. He's a versatile and intelligent safety who is capable enough in the slot as well. He'll add depth to the Colts secondary as well as a surefire contributor on special teams. So, I think this is mainly a special teams pick, but he is probably going to be a solid depth guy, which is what they're going on about here. But we really need some special teams guy, especially with some guys leaving last year. So in years prior, I'm happy that we're going to get him. He's a seasoned vet at the special teams position. Now he's coming to Indianapolis, and we did lose Jordan Glasgow. I think this is a phenomenal pick for the special teams, and if he does play safety, he does. Great, even better. Next, we have Will Mallory, the tight end out of Miami. He offers legitimate receiving ability and not much as a blocker. He'll give Richardson a threat up the seam and brings legitimate versatility in the slot. He just needs to become passable in the run game. Don't know why I move on. Sorry, we're moving on, but we're just taking Will Mallory for now. So, Will Mallory can be that fun tight end option. He could be that, not as big as Jelani Woods or some of the other guys in this room, but he's like 6'4". He's still got nice size, and he'd be that guy you put in the slot. He's a bigger guy you could put in the slot. You could line up, you could put him up at inline. He doesn't need to work on his blocking, his run blocking, and that kind of stuff. But Will Mallory is an interesting prospect. He's got good hands. He was a touchdown machine at Florida. He's very productive, and he has a lot of very high upside. And that's what this whole that's basically what this entire draft class is, and that's what PFF seems to love. So then you have Jones. Jones is big. Jalen Jones from Texas A&M. Jones is big, strong, and young. A good combination of objectives for a late-round cornerback. He fits best in a cover 3 scheme. Unfortunately, he lands with the Colts defensive coordinator, Gus Bradley, who runs more cover 3 than any other defensive player. So the more I looked into this player, it seemed like he was he was all right for A&M. He was all right. He wasn't horrible. It wasn't incredible, but he was a solid defensive back for Texas A&M. I mean, maybe he'll be a special teams guy as well. He's coming to Indianapolis, and I'm excited to see him come to Indianapolis and see what he can do. I couldn't find too much on him, but I'm looking forward to him coming in and maybe working in this cover 3 scheme, which ultimately helps him become the best player that he possibly can for this Colts team. Next guy we have here, last but not least of the 12 picks, I believe it was. Jake Witt is one of the rare prospects who PFF doesn't have data or grades on, but he came in at 211th overall on our final big board. He's an athletic tackle, shocking giving Indianapolis strategy in this draft, who will be another developmental project for Colts. Smaller school guy. I just talked. Someone on the channel commented he played basketball. They guarded him in basketball. It was pretty cool. Shout out to you for sharing that story. It was pretty incredible. Go check the Jake Witt video out. He explains the story. It's pretty incredible. It's pretty cool. And he guarded him 2 times a year in high school and such, I guess. And he was a tight end, and he converted to right tackle in the middle of a game, and he played pretty damn well. So it's a Chris Ballard, small school type of guy. And he's coming to Indy. We're going to see if he could. He's probably going to be on the practice squad, some depth. One guy I noticed they didn't have on here was Titus Leo. Titus Leo is a defensive end from Wagner. He's got good size, great size, really. Didn't really have much production at 13.5 sacks in his career at Wagner. He did have a lot of tackles for loss, which I think it was almost at 40. So he has some protection and tackles for loss. Sacks, not as much, but Titus Leo is going to be another project guy from a smaller school. So I didn't see that on here, but as you see, PFF thinks very high. I'm struggling to talk. PFF thinks very highly of this Indianapolis Colts draft class, and I love to see that because PFF usually they're pretty accurate. They're pretty damn good with what they're grading. They're incredible. They're just incredible. Some things may be questionable at times, but you see where they're coming from, honestly. So, phenomenal draft class by the Colts. I think they were one of 5 teams. I think the Cardinals had, the Steelers had an A+. I probably already scrolled past another one, but who is this? The Giants had an A+. They had a pretty damn good class. I will agree with that. And then we have the Philadelphia Eagles with the A+. The Steelers. Pretty damn good draft class. I think the Seahawks were there. No, the Seahawks were A. But nonetheless, the Colts have one of the best draft classes according to PFF. One of 5 teams with an A+ grade. Let me know what you guys think about this draft class. Are you guys excited? It's a raw draft class. A lot of them are going to need a lot of work, but they have such a high ceiling, and that's where Chris Ballard usually likes to swing. He likes to go for high upside guys, not really, 100% ready yet, but, they could be incredible prospects. They could be incredible players for the Colts for the next 5 to 10 years. I don't know how long, but I'm just throwing that out there. So I want you guys to let me know what you think about this draft class. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe with the post notification bell on so you don't miss any future videos. This is all I have for you today. Thank you for tuning in to the JDW Sports Talk Show, where every fan is welcome. If you all enjoyed, like I already said, make sure to like, subscribe with the post notification bell on so you don't miss any future videos. This is JDW Sports Talk Show, signing off.